In 2017, I introduced you to Death Rock's upcoming artist Black Heroine Gallery on my channel. As I am now entering the passage of time, I am revisiting the realm of the visionary artist and poet Ieho E. Joseph with this recent release of his new album, The Feast of Bats. Ieho E. Joseph is the founder of Black Heroine Gallery, as well as the co-founder of LA Death Rock Astrovamps and the Baby Dolls in Los Angeles, California, where Death Rock spawned in the 80s and 90s. He has endured many projects in his career as a musician, illustrator, and a published author. This also includes Pentland Windfolk magazine and his latest published book. I am here today along with Crystal Phantom discussing about their latest release, The Feast of Bats, and how Black Heroine Gallery has evolved since 2017. Ieho, how long did it take you to compose this new album?
Well, let's see, I guess we've been composing this album for like almost 6 years. I mean, on and off. Crystal, he composed 2 songs with me on this album, Dreadful Wish and Gargoyle Project. And so we've been plugging at it. We've been playing live, playing the new stuff. I mean, the old stuff. And then the new stuff came out probably in the last 3 to 4 years. And let's see, 2 of the tracks on this album were His Beautiful Darkness and As She Slumbers. We recorded on the first album, but we redid them on this album. One, because Crystal liked As She Slumbers a lot, and we were also playing it a little bit with more a little grittier live. So we wanted to try to capture that and put it on the new album. So we did that. And I don't know when you started writing the guitar for Gargoyle Project. When was that?
Actually, I think when I started writing the guitar riffs for Gargoyle Project, I think it was like basically when I started playing guitar. It was like one of the first things that I started working on. It's like one of those few songs that I made a first attempt when I was trying to write for the first time. But it just kept changing and changing over the years, and it eventually became like that main riff that's in Gargoyle Project. So I guess years ago. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool. He basically his first song he's writing, it becomes it's going to become one of our classics, like the first one I wrote, which is His Beautiful Darkness. It is one of the BHG classics, and that was the first song I wrote on guitar. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So
what was the inspiration of Feast of Bats?
Oh my God, many. I like to write little stories, I take like human drama, love, romance, everything that human drama is made up of, and I've just put it in the guise of like characters, monsters, angels, devils, demons, stuff like that. We had a lot of inspiration. I mean, me and Crystal have a lot of old school influences, in the goth rock, death rock, alternative scene. I mean, there's a little bit of metal influence. It comes more from Tony's side and some from Crystal's side, but all that. And we're just avid lovers of music, man. So we listen to, and they introduce me to shit all the time, and then and this band is like, hey man, do you hear this? Curtis be like, did you listen? Because I didn't even hear of that band. Was it Rudimentary Penile? Is that it?
Oh, yeah, Rudimentary Penile.
Yeah, Penile. Yeah, and I never heard those. And then I thought, oh my God, the songs are like 1 minute. I'm like, I gotta listen. And I was listening. I'm like, you know what? This is pretty cool shit. So stuff like that. I get introduced to new music all the time too. So.
And Curtis, were you the backup vocalist this time in this new album?
Just on a couple songs. Actually, I think just 3 songs. In the breaks of Gargoyle Project and Dreadful Wish, I do just some kind of stuff that's kind of low in the mix, but you could still hear it and just add some harmony.
As She Slumbers too, right?
And As She Slumbers, yeah, same thing.
I forgot, you're right. He's on 3 of the songs. Yeah. I do the backing in 2 songs. I cover horns in the break, and His Beautiful Darkness in the break.
And what
live he does it.
Nice.
Yeah, because live he does the backing vocal because of course I was in a controlled environment. I can hold my note, but I can't have trouble holding that note live sometimes. So live he does the backing vocal on His Beautiful Darkness.
how do you feel evolving as a guitarist now that it's been years you being in Black Heroin Gallery?
So I gotta think, where am I gonna start, because a lot has happened, a lot of good stuff has happened. I think that one of the biggest things is I just started taking more music, which was always my plan. I always had an open-minded attitude, but it just kind of took me time to learn as much as I did. I continued listening to the influences that Yeho and me related over, like post-punk, dark 80s, and death rock. I discovered a lot of new stuff in that genre. I think some of my favorites are still Mephisto Waltz or Christian Death or Community FK, but I learned some new stuff. Like I really have been obsessed with Theater Vice, and I also got a lot into dark ambient music, like actual dark ambient music, which is like sampling of sounds and like sound effects and music and melodies some places, but not everywhere. I really like dark ambient. I think actually me and Yo have that in common. We both like that.
Yeah, there's this label that we like. Do you remember the label name?
The label that we like? Yeah, the label that we were talking about. It's called Cryo Chamber. Yeah. I got into that, and I was learning also some older ambient artists, and I also got more into just random stuff. Like I got more into like synthy 80s music and more into like new wave a little bit. I also just took in more music that Tony recommended, because he brought a lot of like heavier, more aggressive music to my attention, but I found a lot of stuff I liked. He got me into some bands like Life Lover, and he got me into some black metal and some trying to get me into like other kinds of heavy metal, which is cool because like I like a lot of the stuff he showed me. And
so how did everybody's contribution came about in executing this new album?
Well, let's see. Again, since we were playing the album and playing the new songs and playing live, a lot of that came through our live stuff. And then as the songs, as I introduced the songs and stuff like that, it starts with showing Crystal some songs on that guitar, and he does this, gives his little his feel to it, and then we play with Tony, and then all that is all worked out. Me, Crystal and Tony had the album down, and we started recording. And then Raphael or Jakul, we met Jakul. He came in at the last minute, so he was able to he was able to start putting his stuff down then, and but basically. We after I show them songs, and we come out and we do, everybody plays it together, and we go over and over and over and over, and then it gets to a point where we can record like that. And Tony's he's a phenomenal creative drummer. He can do some great compositions. Sometimes things get a little too crazy, and we'll have to suggest something different, but that's not his lack of musicianship at all. That's just his style and what he want to do. And of course, I got a certain sound that I want to hear on the album too. And Crystal wanted to do kind of like a song, and he brought this cover. I said, well, we wanted to do a cover. He brought this cover to the band, the Hush Hush Boogeyman cover, and he arranged that whole thing himself. He just brought it finished to us. I'm like, oh, damn, So I was pretty proud of that, because, I'd never heard it. I would not have interpreted that song the way he did.
Yeah.
So, we're thankful for that cut. And that's brought to us by Crystal's magic there. Yeah. But anyways, what can I say? I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by great artists. These guys, they know they're all great writers. They're all great, musicians, and they're very creative people. But there can only be one captain. you can't steer the boat that way, and that way. You'll never get anywhere. So, but other than that, we all work together, and I appreciate what they do for it. And like I said, I would take anybody that wants to ever. it's not easy to remake a song, let alone remake it to something its own thing. And I would always point to, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the other stuff that I wrote with Crystal, the Gargoyle Project, and the Dreadful Wish, great songs. You know, we're proud of those songs. But I'm just saying that Boogeyman, I mean, because it didn't the original song didn't have any guitar, did it?
No, the original song didn't have any guitar.
No, I didn't have any guitar, and it was just kind of like a big band thing. You know, it was a little comical thing. It was 90 years ago.
Like an orchestra or something.
Right, right. Yeah. You know, and I wasn't, you know, I thought, hey, you know, I didn't know that you would come up with something like that, and I was just, like I said, I'm pretty excited. I was pretty excited about it, and it was a really great contribution to the album. So, yeah, that's it on him, and then of course, I don't know if anybody notices this on the first track. I cover her horns, but when you get into the chorus, it gets a lot, you know, it gets louder and it's more dramatic. But there's a bit of a shift beat.
A shift beat?
Yeah, like the old swing. Now you can't really tell, you know, if you're but however Tony did that, because we didn't put that in there. That just is the way he plays.
Just happened.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a nice feel. Now there's a lot of great drumming in it, but like on his Beautiful Darkness, Tony, live or on the first album, there was a couple little fills different that he did, and one of them is where he just hit that cymbal, that crash, and it goes. And I know it's just modest, but I like minimalism, and that just you'll hear it, and just listen to it back, and hear that part. It's awesome. It grabs you like that, you know. So, but anyways, that's pretty much how it all comes about. Oh, and I don't forget. And our new keyboard player, our live keyboard player is Skyly Vague. I mean, I think he plays with, I think he played, didn't he play with Ivy and Cliff and Ivy the other day?
He's been in so many bands.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of bands.
But he did some singing for them or something.
Yeah, but for us, he plays keyboards. And we're lucky to have found him because I can't do all the keyboards live, you know, and either could Curtis. Curtis is going to be doing, there's one song on the album, what's it called? I Take This Rose, and Curtis will be playing keyboards on that, and Scott will be playing keyboards because that song doesn't have any guitar in it. So, and in the future stuff here, I'm starting to introduce me playing guitar back, you know. So, I guess that's about all that.
So you mentioned 2 new band members. So,
yes.
So it's Sky, who's a keyboardist,
Right.
and also Dracul. He's bassist. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Bass guitar, yeah.
You recently went to Mexico City. How was that experience like for you?
It was fun. It was pretty good. It was we headlined at a little festival down there for Goth Day, and it was people were really cool. They loved the music. Came up to us all. Talk about, you know, how great the music. They never heard anything about this. It was great. They loved it. A lot of attention backstage, you know. There was a lot of beautiful faces, wasn't there? And I broke my damn big boots. They broke right before I went on stage. Luckily, it didn't happen when I was on stage.
Yeah, the show in Mexico was cool. I like it in Mexico a lot. I think some of the best energy I've ever felt playing shows with Black Heroin Gallery was when we played in Mexico. I think we played there. We went and traveled there 3 times. We played 4 shows total. But yeah, some of my favorite shows because just like most of those shows, it was a good crowd, a large crowd, and there was a lot of energy. They seemed like, you know, they were cheering after songs. They were moving around. They seemed very interested, and I liked that a lot.
That one girl, remember that little girl that's in front? She just kept dancing and wouldn't stop, even when we were like having a problem with sound, and she just kept dancing. Yeah, it's like little odd characters like that you always remember. You know?
Mexico City, they're very passionate about music. Yeah. And that's what I really do appreciate because I recently went to Mexico City. Have you guys gone to any other cities in Mexico aside from DF?
Puebla, and I think just Puebla, right?
Just Puebla. Yeah, we played one small show. We played one small show in Puebla.
Yeah, the show was cool. I liked the show. It was a little bit higher stage. It was a small stage, wasn't it? Yeah, because we were close to falling off the stage. But I do remember all the beautiful churches in that little city. It was really cool. I remember all the lights in the churches and stuff like that. But yeah, it was cool. Um, we were bussed over there in buses, and then we came and did the Mexico City concert. That was in 2019, I think, right? Yeah, but it was cool. I like it. We're looking forward to going again. I mean, there's hinting to bring us back again soon, so we're going to see how that all works out. But and we might be dwelling in just some other Latin countries, and still looking to do stuff in Europe and keep on playing.
So, I just want to say, Feast of Bats, the production, phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I really, really enjoyed like hearing the voice, the choirs, and again in some of the songs, and and also hearing Tony's drumming is outstanding. You know, it's very clear too. How long did it take you this time to produce this album?
Well, first of all, before I even get into all those details real quick, of course, this production would not have been possible without Roman. Roman is the guy that produced it. Do you know how to say his last name?
Marisak, maybe?
Marisak, I think. Marisak, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So Roman, excuse us if we said your name wrong, but yeah, the production is his, and you know, definitely his, you know, his contribution is incredible on with that production. He got the best out of all of us. You know, he made us all sound great, and it's we're just forever grateful to that. And we started recording it in November of 2021. And then I ended some toward the end of January of 2022. We recorded. Crystal was the last one to record his guitars, because you know we all start with a scratch track. After he finished with that, then I just pretty much, you know, kick everybody out. Let me just go in there and do vocals by myself and do my keys and listen to it, and then that's where, you know, the magic happened. They laid down magic, and then I went in there and did that. Now the thing is Roman helped in so many ways, and one of the greatest things he did for me too was he's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You don't have to get this done right now. You know, we can take as long as it takes for you to finish that, Annie, because he, you know. And he was like, don't worry about it. It's going to be all worked into the same, you know, the thing. You know, he wasn't charging me by minutes or anything. You know what I mean? So he allowed me time to work on things, and I pretty much know what I want to do keyboard wise. But it's great to be able to hear it back and say, you know, that's not working. It was just, I don't know how to say it other than I wrote some of the best keyboard stuff I've ever done. And you know, because I mean stuff like the Vamps, I didn't get a lot of keyboard. A lot of my keyboards in there because, you know, when Dan wrote a song, you would kind of hear a keyboard. And that's the same thing here. When I write this music, I hear that. Now, I got to admit, you know, since I didn't write the guitar for Gargoyle Project, or I didn't write the guitar for Dreadful Wish, you know, it took me a little more time to find the keys that I liked that would you know, in fact, you know, complement the song so much. And I finally did. And I love the way it came out, you know. And vocal melodies. I had to play around for the right vocal melodies to find for those two songs. You know, of course, because I didn't write the guitar. Because when I'm writing with guitar, I always hear that vocal melody. But one of the things about Dreadful Wish that I really like is I like that little keyboard part that goes, you know, that one very, very in-your-face keyboard part that comes during some of the music, comes throughout the song. And that was that one, when I came up with that keyboard, I don't know, that little keyboard part, it kind of brought the whole vocals together. It all made sense, and that's what made that one a better you know, better composition for what I was doing with the song. So they lay their stuff, you know. If there's something they got to do over, they'll do that over, and then, you know, and of course, Crystal is picky, kind of like me. So, you know, he had to do a couple things that he wanted to try different for himself too. So. Tony's picky, but Tony gets it down pretty fast, you know. So, and then Dracul had to put down his stuff. He was now to Dracul's credit, we just got him right at the get-go, right when we basically were going in to record. So he didn't have a lot of time to prep for the album. So we just said, you know, come up with what you can, you know, and we liked that. Crystal worked with him, got it to where it needed to be, and Tony had already worked with Crystal on what was it, Gargoyle Project and Dreadful Wish, right?
Yeah, and one other, maybe Taste of Worms.
Taste Worms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He worked on bass with those, so Tony had to contribute bass to this album too, and something that they'd come up with. So, but yeah, anything you want to add to it?
To the recording process?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think it was a example of when teamwork comes together and everybody who's coming from different aspects of inspiration and personal skill combine their efforts into something great. Like, I really like the bass lines that Tony created for those 3 songs, like you mentioned. He came up with things that I wouldn't be able to come up with because I don't play bass, and I think also I like.
Did some great bass work too.
Yeah, Jack Cole did, and I like what he did on Boogeyman, and I also like the keys that you put on. Obviously, you have experience on the keys, and I think that
this album I was able to let go and really do what I want on keys. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I just think that it was a big opportunity for me to learn to have a recording experience like that. I'm really grateful for it.
Well, Crystal, you did phenomenal. So you did phenomenal. So back to again Roman. Roman, he's the one that produced this. I co-produced the album, but Roman just made us all, like I said, sound great. He got the great drums. When you can listen to this album and you can like put on some big speakers and you can hear all those cool details, you know. And you got and it plays loud good, and and it's just enjoyable to listen to. So I'm pretty stoked about that because you know it's always nice if you can listen to your album 3 or 4 times without getting like sick of it, you know.
Yeah.
So.
When was the official release of Feast of Bats?
I think it hit February or March. It hit Spotify and all those things. Yeah, I released it on my own imprint this time. Although I'm obviously open up to another imprint. Didn't release it on the Alice In imprint this time, but released it this way, and it's been doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. We're constantly busy with. We're looking to do more shows, but we're constantly busy with interviews and stuff like that, which is great. You know, you can't beat that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So what other projects are you involved in?
On my end, I started working on some music with Tony years ago. I didn't know if it would be a band or not, but it eventually did become one. We went to record at the same studio that Black Heroin Gallery recorded at eventually, and created this like eclectic metal project called Postmortem Superstar, which he chose the name for. And yeah, it's got an eclectic array of influences. A lot of stuff that he introduced me to, and it's just a collaboration between me and him. It's pretty cool. I like how it came out. It was basically what helped me get a little bit of recording experience before recording with Black Heroin Gallery. So I was, feeling grateful towards him for creating that opportunity. And outside of that, I'm not in any other bands except for just playing with friends sometimes, and just trying to keep my hands busy playing music in general.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I released an art book, and I've got some other little books being done. Pesselman folks been put on hold for a little bit. It's like 4 years late.
Yeah.
But it's still plan on releasing it again eventually. But I'm also involved now and got involved. I've got a short film out, a little short horse film. It's called A Jar, a Lizard, and a Killer. It's on YouTube now. So I got involved the last couple of years into acting and filmmaking a lot, which I know that I really like a lot. But, of course, music is the first passion, even though I illustrate and I draw and I do all these other things. So Black Heroin Gallery, of course, that's been the focus on the last album, Feast of Bats. Really, really grateful for the album, and it came out so well. And working on the next one. And I do have a little side project that I'm working on. But I'm not going to say anything other than I'm working on, because who knows if it's going to happen this year or whatever. But It's going to be more of an electronic project, but some of the things I've kind of written for it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, I'm be excited when it gets there. But right now I'm more excited about getting the, to get the Feast backs on vinyl. Oh, I didn't mention this, but there's basically going to be 3 new songs put on the album.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a little bonus for the vinyl and stuff like that. And it'll be a bonus on the CD because that'll make the CD 12, and the vinyl will still only be 10 songs. But and so that's about it. Just working, play this album, and we're looking to do work on the 3rd album.
So in the Darklands, that is your new published art book,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Wonderful illustrations. They remind me of a dark fantasy. In some illustrations, I see humanoids humanoids, right? Yeah,
Right.
of alligators. Where does that inspiration come from?
I just like freak shows. When I was a kid, they scared me, but I was drawn to them. The creepy 4-H fairs and the state fairs. They always had these creepy posters, those really nasty, stupid drawings. But they were those drawings. Now I'd give a lot of money to own all those drawings, those paintings. That and the one that really freaked me out was the Snake Girl and like there was one where the headless woman, and they got a big painting of her, and she's like got these tubes in her neck and her head's down on a plaque, and I'm like, oh, it's so scary, But I was terrified to go in them, but I was intrigued by them. So the freak shows went into my art, into a lot of the writing too. I mean, that song "I Cover Horns" is a little bit about a freak show. Well, not really, I guess, because it's more about that book Urantia, but Spider-Face Girl's about the freak, so stuff like that. So I use that theme a lot, the freak shows. So that's probably pretty much where it came from.
I also noticed that this is kind of off topic, but I noticed in a lot of your drawings, there's you add like an M. Is that supposed to be like a zodiac sign or zodiac symbols? Yes.
Yeah, it's some people use it as a zodiac. I just use it as an old like a witch scribe. It's usually just a symbol. I know it's a letter. And a lot of people interpret it as a letter, but to me, it's kind of like I put it down there, kind of like a little magical stamp on that thing that I just drew, on some of the stuff. So, but yeah, I do use those little things are reoccurring in some of the art.
I also was going to ask you something related to the Gothic scene. Since now, post-COVID, more bands are playing live. There's a ton more artists who are just reproduced albums, but I digress. And I was just wondering, what is something that you would like to revive from the 80s to now in Black Heroine Gallery?
What I really like to see is like a residency. I'd like to see where a band can have where there could be one place to go see a band maybe once a week or at least once a month. One kind of, maybe one or like a collection of maybe 3 or 4 bands. But, I would like to see residencies come back. No one really does them anymore.
When you say residency, are you referring to?
Well, remember Prince and the Revolution? Or that club, First Avenue. Well, that was a residency. He played there. I think it was loosely based on his life, but there'd be back in the 80s and earlier, like New York Dolls when they came here and played the Whiskey. They didn't just play one night; they played a week or two, something like that. Motley Crue, when they did their thing, was it like 3 or 4 days? Like Duran Duran in the beginning at the Rum Runner back in England. They were the house band. I'd like to see the residents. I know there's just too many bands in this town. They can make more money off of bands if they just have every person can play a show. So I know it's unless you got the money to maybe rent the venue, which I'm looking into. But see if we could rent a small theater or something that we'd have a show once a month, or whatever, then I could bring in the bigger theatrical experience that I want to bring in for the band. Screens, theater, films, everything. So I'm looking for to do something like. But that's what I would miss the most, and I think it's just a live thing in general. There's a lot more live bands right now too, but there's But well, I don't smell cloves anymore. So cloves would be nice. Bring them back, God damn it.
Unfortunately, they're illegal, right?
I know, but still, I mean, how many people are doing illegal shit anyways?
I mean, you got a good point there.
Just light up a clove or something. It would be nice to smell them back in the clubs, or at least around some of the venues. But yeah, the live thing. I mean, there are a lot of live venues now. I'm not going to even say there's not, but like I said, it'd be nice to have more. I guess more goth clubs that do play live bands instead of just dance nights. Dance nights.
I agree.
Yeah, because I always. Who doesn't love seeing that new group on stage? It's kind of cool.
From spending time with Yeho and Tony for so long, and from hearing their stories back in the 80s and 90s, what is something that really captivated you, Crystal, and just that you would like to see in the present day, since I know you're more, you've been involved in the scene for a while, but, it's the present day postmodern technology and social media. So what's your take on it?
I think that a lot of the stories they tell are about, like, there's a lot more people like dressing up and expressing themselves a lot, and like people with big hair, or people with elaborate makeup, and there was more people like that attending shows. And that sounds exciting because I love it when people express themselves that way, when people feel free to just show who they are. And I like seeing people like that come up to the stage or come out to the shows. That's always exciting and encouraging for me. Inspiring because I love the creativity and just the freedom that I feel when I see people like that attending shows and appreciating music. I like that. And I like what Yeho already said about, like, just more clubs that have band nights, which there are clubs that have, bands play. But more would be good too. I think I agree with him what he said about that, because I like the dance nights. Actually, I go to them. When they're playing nostalgic, like dark 80s or new wave music, or even when they're playing more like modern post punk or minimal wave type of stuff. I like that stuff. I think it's cool. But I agree with what Yeho said, that if there was more like nights with bands playing, I would think that would be great too.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody wouldn't go. I mean, the ones that go to the dance clubs, that because they do the DJs in between and stuff like that. All those people seem to still like live bands. I don't know why. Just bring them all back.
And when you're referring to also like residency clubs, it's also like, was Helter Skelter, Zombie Zoo, those residency clubs?
I don't really think they were residency. I remember Helter Skelter. I don't remember Zombie Zoo. I don't know how long Zombie Zoo was around before Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter did have London After Midnight play there a few times, so I don't know if it was a bit of a residency for them. But it would have, when it did have bands, it had different bands. So I never really saw the same band there twice, other than London After Midnight. So, but something like that, like in Chicago, there was a club that was really big, and it was kind of like a Helter Skelter, but a little bit bigger than Helter Skelter. And it wasn't a residency because it had, like, that's where I saw Skinny Puppy and stuff like that. But it was still a nice big goth club, and they had big stage and stuff like that. Some of the stages are here a little small, but not in New York and Chicago and stuff like that. I got pretty good stages for even the smaller bands and stuff like that. But I think just keep the live culture alive, if that makes sense. If that's just not redundant. Yeah. But I think that's actually the key to the whole aesthetic of it all, because it's one thing for the albums, but it's a whole other thing to you know, feel it live, you know, and I don't. You might have heard other people say, I'm not going to bring down anybody's music because, you know, I'm going to record some electronic music too.
Yeah.
But there is a tendency now for everything to, I don't know, I guess be almost perfect. And, you know, and it's okay to like slip up a little bit.
I agree.
And because honestly, I like the raw live albums. Like I have Johnny Thunders live and the New York Dolls live and Lou Reed live and stuff. And, you know, you can hear the imperfections. I don't know. To me, that's still great art, you know. But
Have you heard of the term wabi-sabi? It's a Japanese term, and it means to that even imperfection is amazing. It's beautiful. It's
yeah,
just
I agree with that,
to
totally. Right,
yeah.
perfection. Yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. I like that in all the art forms. I like that in illustration and painting. You know, it's like I have a couple friends that draw completely incredible, realistic, and I'm not taking from their art because they're incredible. You know, just like a photograph. But I'm more attracted to that person that just drew a stick figure and threw some stupid eyes, you know, out of proportion. I don't know why. Why is that? You know, it's like that awesome painting, which took so many hours, is just looks just like a photograph, or this, you know, something like Didi Ramon painted. Of course, it's Didi Ramon. Of course, you're going to grab it. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm attracted to that really odd, off the kilter stuff. And the same thing with acting or actors or films. I like the little bit off the kilter. It's like, you know, I like that's why Plan 9 from Outer Space. You know that movie with Vampira and Bela Lugosi? Yeah, Ed Wood. I mean, he left the things in when they fell down. You know, all the, oh, I'll get it in editing. You didn't get it in editing. You left it in there, motherfucker. So it's like, fuck. I don't know. I'm attracted to that weird shit. You know, some people would say, oh, you know, there would be two schools of thought on this, right? Some people would say, oh my God, dude, you like that because you're lazy and you don't want to fix anything. I'm like, no, I'm not lazy. I could labor and do it more perfect, you know, but that imperfection, like the Japanese quote, imperfection, I think is true art. I really do. I mean, obviously you can abuse the imperfection and just be imperfect for the sure hell and sake of being imperfect. But I guess if you did it in intent, then that's your art. Then
I have a very special gift for all of you. Please stay tuned towards the end to see Black Heroine Gallery perform this weekend that just passed, hosted by Club Terminal. You can find Feast of Bats on Spotify and Bandcamp. I will input a link on the drop-down box below. I also want to thank UTM Music Group for supporting this video. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.